Well, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Is it working? Looks like it's working. And you'd think the live stream UI would have like an easy to share link somewhere so you can like, share it, but nah, it doesn't. Because why would it? So I need to go to my own channel so that I can share the stupid thing. Shut up. There we go. Well, if nobody has any submissions, I am perfectly happy to just sit here in silence. You think the X870 Hero could do 8,000 with a good CPU? Probably. What do I think of Arrow Lake? I think it's a flop. And Intel was getting hard carried by having monolithic CPUs for the last several years. And probably by their own manufacturing process as well, because the TSMC process seems to like basically behave the same way it does on AMD, where it just doesn't scale. Hey, we've got a submission. There's not really a reason to send a super chat at the start of the show when there's like nobody else submitting, because like I'm gonna grab whichever submission is first, but thanks anyway. 7800X3D runs higher UCLK after BIOS update. That's surprising, because I've not really run into that myself. Oh, but you're on an Asus board. Okay, and an X670 Asus board, and they kind of suck, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. I'm guessing this is this is BCLK, isn't it? So we got 64. Oh, and you're on dual rank. Yeah, okay, so I'm not surprised that with an Asus board with dual rank, you would actually have an improvement. Because with single rank, I haven't, I've heard from people that, 1-to-1 mode is supposed to get better with BIOS updates. I've just never seen it in 1-to-1 with single rank DIMMs. In person, I've not experienced that. The Gigabyte boards in 1-to-1 mode all behave the same as they always have. I mean, voltages are different, but the max frequencies are the same. But the Asus boards, yeah, they weren't great, so I guess if you're on dual rank, that would make sense. I think this is a, dual rank fix, is what's going on with that, instead of, UCLK fix. Power down mode, was disabled. Nah, I think this is just a dual rank fix, because unless, if you tested with single rank, but, yeah, with dual rank, there wouldn't necessarily be a UCLK thing. It could just be, a board problem. New beta BIOS, turbo game mode, enhanced performance in certain games. I wonder what that does. Because motherboard vendors have a tendency to overstate the effectiveness of their, like, enhancements that they put into the BIOS. Alright, but this is the 6120 setup, so I guess we'll just take a look at this. So 6324, 32, 38, 38, 38. Yeah, 1.4, that makes sense. 34. Oh, yeah, you're on dual rank, so I guess that TRC makes sense. Though, it might be worth trying to see if you can switch your TRAS and your TRP around. So, like, TRP 34 and TRAS 38 instead of 38, 34. Because TRP is more important for performance than TRAS is. 48, 20, 416, 48, 480. If this is A-die, you can run less than 480 TRFC. Not like it's going to make much of a difference because you have 65,000 refresh interval, but like you could. I personally wouldn't bother with on a daily system with that, but like you could. SCL at 4, 1, 8, 16, 4, and then 6 and 6, 6 on the dual rank timings. Neat. Yeah, so that looks good. So I guess I'll grab another submission. And it's another 1700X3D. How original. So we've got 6200, 28, 37, 37, 32, 30, 62, 4, 8, 22, 14, 420. Yeah, see this, and then we've got the 69s on the two that don't actually do anything. 4, 1, 12, RTP, 6. Wait, this is also dual rank, and then we've got 6, 6, 8, 8. Might be worth testing if you can set these two below 8, based on that other screenshot we just saw. Like, in my experience, that didn't work for me, but I haven't, like, gone and retested that, and I don't really have that many dual rank kits, so I don't know. Like, might be like, just, like, I haven't done enough testing on that. I have a found mounted, so temps are at 45. Neat. VDD 1.45, VDDQ 1.35. Oh, ASRock board. Okay, that makes sense. Can't boot CL26 even using 1.7. At 1.7, it's stuck on the boot. How much VDD do you need for like CL26 at 6000? Have you had any success at 8000 on the Tomahawk? It doesn't instantly crash in Karhu like the Hero does, but it does crash in everything else. So, yeah. Not, like, so no. Like, it crashes Prime 95, it crashes Y-Cruncher. Well, Y-Cruncher will outright just restart the board. And Karhu, but like Karhu ran for like 30 minutes, so I was like really impressed. And then I tried to run something else, and it was like, oh. But the Asus board doesn't even do like the Asus board just resets for everything. So like, yeah, I think it's just the CPU. I really think it's just the CPU, and like unless I buy another one or get more CPUs in somehow, it's like that's not gonna change. The thing is, like, if I buy another one and it's, like, good in 2-to-1, is it going to suck in 1-to-1 mode? And also, the Tomahawk really doesn't play well with 7000 series. Like, it's, like, the Asus boards with 7000 series are, like, fine. The Tomahawk doesn't even do 8000 with 7000 series, like, at all. It, like, doesn't... Like, it works even less than the Asus boards do. So I think for 7000 series, MSI hasn't bothered to, like, optimize the board at all. Able to boot 6400 as at 1.2, but even with 1.3 not stable. You can boot it at 1 point. Well, I'm not sure what the minimum boot versus stable voltage requirements usually are. tuning the VDDGs doesn't do anything because they're they're not involved with the memory controller. Proc ODT, you are on dual rank, so like fiddling with the terminations and drive strengths might do something. I think it might be worth trying like RDRD SCL at 5 instead of 4 when you're at 1.3 SoC. If you have LLC settings for the SoC rail, that might be worth like maxing. Like, yeah, you could just try maxing that out, and that might help. Because if the board, like, if the SoC voltage is drooping by, say, I don't know, 10 millivolts, 20 millivolts under load, then like removing that could help. And it's not like you're going to get like massive overshoot or anything because the SoC power rail doesn't really experience big transients. So, yeah, the timings look good. But yeah, for the stability, basically the only thing I can think of that is worth trying is like maxing out the load line calibration if you have that option for the SoC rail, not for everything else. But that still might not work. So, yeah. Also, do you think 8,000 2-to-1 is better than 6,500 1-to-1? As might have, like, it'll be very... I am not sure. It'll really depend. Like, some things yeah, I'd say, like, some things are going to be faster on the 1-to-1 setup, and some things are going to be faster on the 2-to-1. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that submission. Let's grab another one. And I copied it wrong, because this is the first time I've ever done this. And 3600 with, oh, team group, Hynix CJR. 16, 8, 19, 22, 21, 29. Well, okay, so the TRC isn't real. This is TRP 22, 21. So this is 43, which makes sense. 29 doesn't make sense. 4, 6, 16, 2, 10, 10, 480. This is like, that's the one nice thing about like Hynix CJR is like it doesn't have a completely atrocious TRFC, unlike some of the other memory chips out there. SCL's at 5.5. Can it really not do 4 on those? And then this is single rank, so basically after that it doesn't matter. 10, 10, 14. Cool. Yeah, so really the only thing I would check with this is if you can lower the SCLs. Because that should be possible on like the Hynix CJR. Like I'm not aware of it having like issues with loose SCLs. Anyway, yeah, I don't really have anything more to say about this because it's like it's 3800 synchronized, like looks like Hynix timings to me. CJR safe to 1.45 volts. I don't know. Like I've heard rumors of like CJR dying at high voltage, but like I've not good luck finding like solid evidence of really anything dying at high voltage reliably. And I'm not gonna run like a Hynix CJR. Like, well, the issue is like if you run it at like 1.6 and then it breaks, and then it's like, well, does that tell us anything about if it'll break at 1.45? And then if it takes like 6 months to break at 1.45, well, that's not practical to test. So I don't know. It's probably fine. Anyway, next submission. Anything I can do to get that latency below 60 nanoseconds? Well, you're 6200, 30, 38, 38, 72. What? 4, 8, 20, 6, 16, 500, 4, 4, 28, 12. This is single rank, 50,000 refresh interval. Well, you could set the refresh interval to 65,000. Also, if you can do 3200 UCLK, like, you don't have to be a 2133 FCLK. Like, you could be a 2100 FCLK or something, unless it, like, literally doesn't work at 2000. Like, I went over this in the most recent video, is like, for Ryzen, you just want to crank the UCLK as high as possible, and then worry about FCLK. Worrying about the FCLK is a waste of time, because it is a massive memory bandwidth bottleneck, but from like a latency perspective, getting the memory controller to go as fast as possible is a priority, and the bandwidth always sucks on Ryzen. Like, even if you're at 2200 FCLK, the memory bandwidth is still terrible. So, like, it's just kind of like, you're not fixing the memory bandwidth issue, so I don't know why you'd even worry about it. Like, it's just like anything that requires a lot of memory bandwidth is not going to run well on a Ryzen CPU. It's just how they're designed. But other than that, you could lower TRC. Like, that should definitely be possible, and that could help. If this is 8i, you should be able to lower TRFC a bit. TRP and TRAS, like, you should be, like, for 6200, you should be able to run, like, TRP at, like, if this is 8i, like, 32 TRP should not be a problem, and TRAS at 30, and then, like, TRC at 62. Also, if you're running 6200 at less than 1.2 volts, you really shouldn't have any issues at, like, 1.3 for 3200 UCLK. So, yeah, I would just not worry about the Infinity Fabric. Like, it's really, like, just, like, if it doesn't do high, like, if at high SOC you can't do high FCLK, then just run less FCLK until it's stable. Unless you're all the way down, like, at, like, 2000. But I think even, like, I haven't tested this because I wasn't able to, but I did do a test of, like, 3100 UCLK with 2000 FCLK versus 2200 FCLK at 3000 UCLK, and the 3100 UCLK was just faster. So, though I didn't bother checking IDA latency, because IDA's latency is basically idle latency. Like, the way the IDA latency test works is it, like, sends a ping to the memory every, like, 10 milliseconds. The CPU literally goes to sleep running the IDA latency test. That's also why, like, power down mode has, like, a huge effect on the IDA latency test, is because for real workloads, power down mode actually usually doesn't kick in because the memory is, like, doing stuff. But because IDA doesn't do anything, the memory goes to sleep and then it needs to wake up, which is why the latency in IDA is, like, so heavily affected by power down mode, even though, like, memory intensive workloads don't care because the memory doesn't have time to go to sleep. So yeah, IDA is not a very good test, but there are, like, you could raise refresh interval. You could probably even lower cast latency if you push the voltage higher on the memory. Anyway, next submission. Got another 7800X 3D. Man, this is, like, 6200, 28, 36, 36, 30, 30, 48. Man, okay, well, I don't think that TRC is real. 4, 8, 20, 416, 372. So we're really tight on that TRFC. I mean, it's still in that 120 nanosecond thing for 8i, but yeah, like, I personally don't bother optimizing, like, tightening it that much. 4.4, single rank, 65,000 refresh interval at 1.22 SOC. Means stable for 2+ months. Yeah, I'd expect this to work. I don't really This looks like a pretty standard 6200 setup to me. So, yep, that looks solid. So that was a quick one. Is 1.3 SoC with no V-droop safe? Should be. Like, you don't really see massive transient loading on the SoC power rail, mostly because the SoC power rail just doesn't output a lot of power most of the time, unless you have an iGPU. Like, if you had an iGPU, I might be concerned about that, but without an iGPU, I don't, like, and by that I mean, like, the APU. Like, if you don't use the iGPU, the fact that it exists is just kind of, like, it doesn't matter. And I guess if you wanted to be, like, extra safe, you could, like, turn it off in the BIOS. When running a flat load line. Though I haven't actually tested that if that makes a difference, because I think if you like just don't use the iGPU, that'll be plenty. Ooh, a Gene at 8,000 with 2200 FCLK. Not actually the super surprising, but right. Is this one stick of RAM? Oh no, it's it's the half density. Wait. Is that X8 8 gigabit or is that X8 X16 8 gigabit? Or no, X16 16 gigabit? What is that? That's KF560C36. I think those are X16 chips, aren't they? DDR4. DDR5 packaging. -8. So apparently it's this stuff. Wait, there's like a BBE8. Is there like a different variant of this stuff that isn't like BBE8 or what? Oh, there's also a BBE8. Oh, that's an RGB variant. Okay, well that doesn't matter then. Oh wait, there's a big difference between these. Wait, no, this is 16 gig. Oh, okay, so that's just DuckDuckGo being stupid. Okay, so yeah, this is on 16 gigabit. 16-bit memory chips, which is just bad. Basically, you have less bank groups, which is not good because this is effectively like so. Single rank X8 DDR5 is basically like dual rank DDR4, but X16 is basically single rank DDR4. It's not as bad as single rank on DDR4 because you still have like the multi-channel benefits of DDR5 where like each stick has its own sub-channel. Which leads to fun things like even a single stick of DDR5 really isn't that much of a disaster compared to a single stick of DDR4. Because a single stick of DDR4, you're in single channel and man, that really hurts. Whereas a single stick of DDR5, like you can still interleave the memory accesses. Better than you can with one stick of DDR4. But yeah, this is not ideal. Cool to see though that like it doesn't really matter from like a overclocking perspective, which makes sense because the way these X16 chips are typically made is they take the regular X8 chips and they just like rewire them for X16 by like combining the bank groups together, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So it's like an internal logic rearrangement. It's not like it's not a different chip. It's just like a different logic configuration, which sacrifices performance for cost. So you get 8 gig chips, but they're slower marginally, and they still clock the same because like internally it's still the same circuitry with the same silicon. Just you know, it's like I guess you could kind of think of it like turning off hyperthreading on a CPU. Not real. Well, actually, kind of, yeah. But anyway, 34, 48. Except turning off hyperthreading hurts a lot more than like converting memory chips to X16 does. But anyway, 34, 48, 48, 48. So pretty typical ADI timings. 38, 86, 832, 416, 48, 480, 88. And it is single rank, 65,000 refresh interval, 1.65 across the board. Oh, right, yeah, it's an Asus board, so that makes sense. Wait, what VDDIO are you? Oh, 1.45. Okay, so that's not completely crazy. That's still interesting that, like, Asus boards tolerate VDDQ that high, because that's, like, the signal voltage from the memory chips. And on a lot of other boards, like, this isn't gonna, like, this doesn't even necessarily post. Yeah, so that's cool. But you're on a Gene, so that's not too surprising. Oh, and it's on the Epic 4-core chip. So this is just like a really wacky setup. That's cool. Anyway, there's a super chat, so we'll do that one next. Oh, and I should switch to live chat. Okay. Because that was an issue last stream. That I had the like top chat thing, and then it would like filter out somebody who was like trying to get their link through. Oh, it's not a 7800. Oh no, why? I do not approve of your motherboard choice. Man, that thing better have been like broken on eBay and you got it for like $100, because if you paid full price for that, like, you're dumb. If you actually bought this board at retail, you an idiot. I'm sorry, but that's just like, that's just how that works. You buy a godlike, you're a dumbass. But it's not. Yeah, when they weren't like over $1,000 yet, it wasn't like they were still hard to justify. Like the X570 godlike is, it's not even a good board. Like I have one, and it's like the IO is kind of rear IO is kind of terrible. Memory overclocking wise, it really isn't anything special. The only thing that's kind of neat about it is that you can run 4 GPUs on it, but they run at like X8, X4, 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 so... Ugh. But then you get to the newer godlikes, and it's actually just like, why... Do you hate having money? Just, like, why didn't... Like, you could have bought 2 genes or something. Like, you could have binned CPUs instead of spent, like... So many other things you could have done that actually give you a better system at, like, you know, even like within the range of things that are not cost effective to do. But this isn't even like a better motherboard. It's just more expensive. Like, I'd be like, if you bought like a second 9950X, you know, so you could bin them, I'd get that. But like a godlike? Really? Unless it was on clearance? Dumb purchase. Anyway, so we've got 6200 CL24, which is impressive that works. I wonder what voltage this is at. 36, 36, 32, 30, 62, 4, 8, 20, 4, 14. Okay, so that's pretty standard. 372 TRFC, 4, 1, 22, 11. And then single rank. Yeah, like this is the thing. If you like bin your 9950X for like doing DDR5 6400, like you could have been on an ASRock HDV and it would have literally been faster. Wait, did we get a response? I wasn't checking chat. Did we get a response on if he bought that board or? But yeah, in terms of timings, I mean, this is at 1.3 SoC. See, instead of buying a dumb motherboard, you should have bought more CPUs. You could have, you know, maybe if you bought a second 9950X, you would have had one that does 6400, but instead you bought a godlike, so here we are. TCKE 0. I don't think there's an option to set TCKE. So for AMD BIOS, so I don't know if that actually does anything. Oh, this board's also doing the like crazy proc ODT thing that the Asus boards are doing. I wonder, because the MSI X870s don't do that, or at least the Tomahawk doesn't do that. Then again, the Tomahawk probably has a way better topology than whatever this has, because this is a first-gen board, and, like, as far as I know for 600 series, like, it's only really Gigabyte that kind of figured out the 4-dimmers. Because, like, the Asus 4-dimmers are not good, in my opinion. And I didn't get to try a first-gen MSI 4-dimmer. Anyway, the timings look fine, but I do not approve of your motherboard purchasing decisions. Aorus Master X870E or Carbon? I don't know. I've not tested any of the Gigabyte X870 boards because they didn't send any because they kind of forgot that I exist. So, yeah. Yeah, the timings on this look good. But man, I sure hope that motherboard was on sale, because if you bought that at retail, that's just dumb. I'm sorry, it just is. Nice timings though. Best way to get my hands on a B650E Tachyon? Know somebody that works at Gigabyte. I think there was like one country somewhere in Asia that they made it like retail available, because they made 1,000 of them and they eventually needed to get rid of them. But as far as I know, it never had proper retail presence. Also, even if you get a Gigabyte contact now, you're still not getting a board because they don't have any of them, as far as I know. Anyway, so I guess I'll pick up submissions from that, like from that last super chat. Also, if you were before the, like, if you posted a submission before the super chat, you can repost it. I unfortunately don't have a way of having like different submission queues. Admittedly, I haven't looked into it, but like, what do you expect from me? Actually, no, I did very briefly check if there's like an option, and there's like a members chat option, but that's not what I want. Like, I want custom chat channels. One for like submissions, one for general, and one for super chat. I mean, the super chats can go wherever, but like submission queue would be nice. Anyway, so what's this? 7700 on an X670E-F running 6400. Neat. At 1.24 SoC. So that's not, you know, it's not crazy high. So that's nice. I think there was context with that. I was the one talking about 8,000 stable on Reddit lol. It just ends erroring out after a couple hours. That, honestly, that's impressive. That, like, this board running 8,000 for more than like, this board booting 8,000 to me is a surprise. Because, like, I have a ProArt, and it literally, like, it just doesn't work above, like, 7,600. Like, 7,600 already doesn't work, and then it just gets worse. So, the Strix-F being able to post 8,000 is kind of, like, to me, that's completely unexpected. Anyway, so 6400, 30, 38, 38, 34, 30, 64, 4, 8, 20, 4, 16, 512 TRFC. That's an odd choice of TRFC for a die. But like it doesn't hurt anything. And then we've got 4, 4, and this is single rank, so we don't have to worry about the dual rank timings. RTP12, TRDWR16, WRD2, refresh interval at 65,000. Yeah, this looks like a pretty, like, this looks like a solid 6400 setup, so. Nothing to complain about there. Is it worth it to move on to new AGSA for 7800X3D? How new are we talking? Like the 9000 series? As far as I know, they're actually not changing the AGSAs with the 9000 series BIOSes for like 7000 series. So there shouldn't be any downsides to just staying on the latest BIOS version. Did I miss your MSI X870 live stream or it didn't? It hasn't happened yet. I've just not been like feeling very like streaming. Like that's also why there's no face cam today. It's just like doing this more out of obligation. Well, I don't even know if it's obligation. It's just like I dragged myself to do this because like I don't need to think about what it's gonna be about. So there, that's my excuse. Actually, I guess the main issue with the MSI thing is like initially I was like, oh, this might work at 8,000, and then it didn't, and I was like, oh no, okay, we're not doing that. I don't need another like however many hour long stream of DDR5 8000 not working on a 4 dimmer. Anyway, we've got a Ryzen 5 5600 and Kingston memory kit. Wait, this is 2 Kingston kit. Wait, is it? Wait, is this 2 single sticks? Oh god, it is. Well, I mean, at least the chances are it's probably Hynix on both. Or Micron, looking at these timings. 18, 22, 19, 19, 36. Okay, this is Micron. This isn't going to be Hynix. 4416, 4812, 570, 44. Yep, pretty typical single rank Micron timings. Though if this is Micron, you should be able to push this to like 3666 or 3700 or like 3733 without too many issues, and that'll let you run the FCLK a bit faster. You might have to loosen TRCD. Wait, why is your TRCD WR so loose? That doesn't make any sense. I just noticed, like, TRCD RD at 19 is like, okay, that's pretty typical Micron. 22 on right? Why? But, yeah, since this does look like it's Micron, I would still try to push it up to 3733. In which case you might need, like, at 3733, you might need, like, TRCD RD at 20 instead of 19. And RT... Actually, TRP might be fine. TRC might have to get a bit looser. Well, I think I'll grab another submission. What did you think of the X870 Pro RS? I haven't looked at it. So I don't know what to think of it because I literally don't know what it is. 7950X, 6200. This is stable. TRFI doesn't go above 60,000 because it becomes unstable. That is interesting. Because 45, like, really shouldn't be a problem unless there's, like, something about the DIMMs that the temperature reading is... Oh, these are dual rank. That still shouldn't be an issue, though. Yeah, especially with these timings, that really shouldn't be an issue. Maybe the temperature sensor on these DIMMs is, like, way off. Like, because the thing is, the temperature sensor that you see in hardware info, it doesn't actually measure the temperature of the memory modules. It measures the temperature of, like, the SPD hub, which is in the middle of the memory stick. So it's actually kind of a terrible temperature measurement in terms of telling you how hot the memory sticks are running. So I guess maybe the memory chips are, like, significantly warmer than whatever that SPD hub temperature is. And that's why it wouldn't work at 65,000. Because that really should just be like, if your temperatures are low enough, it should just work. Yeah, anyway, as far as timings go, 30, 38, 38, 38, 48, 86. Okay, cool. The thing is, like, TRAS sometimes just gets weird, so I'm not going to question this too much. 4, 820, 616, like, the WTRs could be tighter for 6200, TRFC 500, yeah. SCL, that really should be a 4 at 6200, like, that shouldn't have to be a 5. And then WR, like, there's no reason for it to be 10 with Hynix. And then you have 7777 on the dual rank timings, which, well, it's better than stock. So, yeah. And then 2200 FCLK at 1.235, so that's not, I don't really see a reason that, like, on some CPUs it could be a problem, but it probably isn't. I don't know. I don't think I'd really change much of, like, yeah, I don't think I'd really change anything about this. Like, the thing with the DDR5 is, like 99% of your performance uplift from tuning timings happens from TREFI, and then everything else is just kind of like, eh. Like, the auto timings are really, really bad for a lot of the other stuff, but, like, having everything, like, like, spending a ton of time fine-tuning everything else doesn't really do that much. And 60,000 refresh interval. I mean, you know, like, raising the refresh interval to 65,000 is going to be a bit faster, but personally, I don't think I'd spend a bunch of time investigating this if I know for sure, like, if I've tried over 65,000 several times and it always fails, but 60,000 does work, I would just stay at 60,000. Like, the difference between 65,000 and 60,000 is just not that big. This is probably Hynix ADI though. So it might be like, what you could do is, like, try lowering the TRFC a bit, and that shouldn't really care. Like, that shouldn't matter what temperature you're at. Because the refresh the thing with refresh interval is, like, how long you wait before you refresh the data. But how long it takes to refresh the data, like, that doesn't change based on how you set the TRFC, right? Like, the refresh takes a fixed amount of time, and you're just, like, setting a limit for when you assume that the refresh is finished. So lowering TRFC is, like, not like, that should be, like, you know, if you want to eke out, like, more refresh performance, you could try lowering TRFC a bit. It'll probably, at 6200, you should be able to pull it all the way down to, like, 400 potentially. So, yeah, anyway, next submission. Oh, finally, not a Ryzen system. It's a Xeon thing. Oh, it's X58. I know absolutely nothing about X58. This is not going to go well. Not 100% not tuned right now, trying to push speed. Anything you recommend? I literally don't know anything about X58. Yeah, like, especially when it comes to, like, pushing frequency, like, I have no idea. I think with DDR3, it mainly depends on what memory chips you have, but 1600 CL8 should be an okay. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have any, well, it's 1600 CL8 from Corsair is probably not going to be anything that, like, doesn't clock properly, but there are some, like, DDR3 memory chips that just, like, hardwall at, like, 1700, which is just horrible. But as 1600 CL8 bin, I don't think that's gonna be anything like that. But yeah, unfortunately for X50, I really, really don't know anything about how to do well anything with it. Like the oldest platform that I've really spent like some amount of time with would be like AM3 Plus, but even there, I never really like prioritized memory very much. Because like I dailied an AM3 Plus system with like 2133,999 memory, which was some Micron memory chips that I had in there. Um, but was it 2133? Might have been like 2000 or something. But X58, like this is just too old. I actually just don't know anything about X58. It is a platform I'd like to play with more, but like I'm so bad at like getting anything done that I've not been making much progress on the whole like I'd like to play with X58 someday thing. Um so yeah. Um at least as far as I know the Asus boards aren't too bad. Like there's some really horrible X58 motherboards, but I think yours should be fine. Um Anyway, there's another super chat, so I guess we'll take a look at that. And it's another Ryzen system, of course. 5800X. Oh no. No. Bad. Why? Okay, look, this is not okay. This is very, very not okay. This is a, oh my god, it's so bad. Oh, this is so bad. This is absolutely, like, this is a complete car crash of a memory setup. Like, this is probably, like, this is literally slower than, like, there are 3200 CL16 kits that are faster than this. So let's go into why this is such a complete disaster of a memory setup. So first things first, this desynchronized, your UCLK is terrible. Your so memory latency is just garbage because you're buffering the data and you're buffering it really slowly. Because like your memory controller is slow, your Infinity Fabric is also slow. They're not even synchronized, so that's extra slow. So that's no good. Then we get to our primary timings, which are just like, yep, this looks like, your typical garbage Hynix primary timings. But that's not even the worst thing that's happening here. No, this right here, this is a complete disaster. Like I have a video showing some like DDR4 kits where if you run like TimeSpy at JDEC, it's literally faster than if you run it with XMP. And the reason why that happens is because the XMP profiles have like TRRDs set like this. This basically means that if there's a lot of like memory access hopping where it's like jumping from one address to another, like where if the data in the memory is not like conveniently arranged for the memory controller to access like sequentially, this basically means it takes a month to get anything done because you're constant, like you have delays just like opening different rows. So this is one of those things that if you run IDA, your memory performance looks fine, and then if you actually try to run anything that uses the memory in a like typical application manner of like hopping from address to address, not necessarily all in the same row, this completely screws your memory performance. So this is just a disaster. It gets worse. So we're spending like so not only when we're actually like when we're going from like hopping from row to row, it takes a month. When we're not hopping rows from row to row, we spend Yeah, we spend about 7% of our available memory clock cycles just not doing anything because they're spent on a refresh. So that's lovely. We just sit there and wait for 7% of our already very useless clock cycles to just like, hey, like the refresh. So that's great. So yeah, this is just a complete disaster of a memory setup. Like this is just bad. Everything about this is bad. Um, I mean, like, okay, the WTRs aren't, okay, those like aren't bad, but these don't really matter that much. Also, is this single rank or dual rank? It says single rank. Oh, so maybe, oh yeah, so this is going to be like 16 gigabit Hynix of some kind. So unfortunately, I don't know what kind of TRFC it's going to do. Because I've never used, I think this is Hynix, because it's like a Corsair memory kit. So I'm assuming this is Hynix. So yeah, this is just a complete disaster. So what you should do is, first of all, you should not listen to people who tell you to buy DDR4 4000 for Ryzen systems, because they're idiots. Because then you get stuff like this, which is just bad. But the second thing you should do is, so how am I gonna, so first of all, I'm assuming you don't know what you're doing, so we're just going to go with idiot-proof settings. So 3600. This is 4018. So this should do like 16, 19, 19, 19. Sure, let's go with, well, I mean, it's, no, I'm not going to, like, idiot proof. So 19, 19, 39. What's that? 40 plus 20, like 60. It's actually, is that? Yeah, that's like 60. It's like 58, so we'll just go with that. 4, 6, 16, 4. Actually, well, no, we'll go with 4. 10, 12. That'll probably work. I'm not sure. Like, I've never actually worked with 16 gigabit Hynix. This right here, I don't know. So, actually, no, I've worked with like bad 16 gigabit Hynix. This is probably decent, but I just don't know what this stuff is. So I don't know. Like 750 will probably work. This can probably go lower, but I just don't know for sure. And then 4, 4. This is single rank, so RTP. You know what, 10. That shouldn't be a problem. And then this 1800. 1800. 1800. And this will literally be faster. Like, a lot faster. Honestly, this will probably be faster even in IDA. because that desynced FCLK UCLK situation is just a complete catastrophe. Yeah, so there. This. Do this. And next time, buy a 3600 CL16 kit. This is one thing that annoys me to no end, is like, because like I've seen some advertising of like, oh, 4000 is like the sweet spot for 5000 series. It's not. It never was and never will be. If you don't know what you're buying, buy a 3600 CL16 or a 3618, which 3618 is terrible, but it's less bad than this. Though it's worth noting that sometimes even the 3616 kits will have botched TRRDs because memory manufacturers just like hate performance. Like this being completely screwed up. Like I have a 3600 CL14 kit from Team Group where they botched the TRRDs. They're like 15 or something, which is even worse than this is. Like this is bad, but like I have a Team Group kit that has freaking 15 TRRDs at 3600, which is just like, I actually don't know. Like, and I told them about it and they're like, you should tune it yourself. And I'm like, like, if I'm going to tune it myself, I'll just buy a 3214 kit. or something, or a Viper kit, right? Like the whole point of a 3614 is that the XMP profile is supposed to not suck. Anyway, so yeah, so this bad, and please fix. Anyway, there was some other super chats during that, so let's go take a look at those. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, got it. What? Why is it not pasting? And we got another 1700X 3D. Man, today's stream is really creative. And original. Anyway, we've got 6400, 30, 37, 37, 32, 30, 62, 48, 20, 414, 48, 422, 42. Isn't this literally some settings I was running in a video recently? Sure, looks like it. Single rank, 16, 4, 9, 9, 50. Yeah, okay, and 65,000 refresh interval. Yep, it looks good. It can run CL28, but I heard 6400 is better. Yeah, it is better. Like, with Ryzen's memory controller, the number one priority is to get UCL, especially in one-to-one mode. Number one priority is get UCLK as high as possible, and then worry about everything else. I mean, maybe like TREFI is probably bigger priority because like bad TREFI at 6400 is kind of not gonna get you anywhere. But like, there's no penalty for pushing for 6400 as far as TREFI is concerned. So like, it's always just max your UCLK and then worry about the timing. So yeah, 6200 CL28 would actually just be slower than this. So this is good. Also, if you just raise the VDD voltage like a lot, you can do 6400 CL28. I wouldn't like, there's not really any point in doing that, but it's like technically possible to do that. So, yeah. I don't really have anything else to say because like these timings are just like, this is just like good. So, yeah. And then we have another super chat and more 8 gigabit. Oh no, DDR5. Wait, what? Oh, did my YouTube tab crash? Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, this happens when I scroll up. Like if I scroll up too far in chat, it just crashes the tab, which is just amazing. So that's great. Oh, and then it doesn't let me reload the tab because why would it? Like F5. Oh, and the YouTube chat is like super crashed now. Hey, I fixed it by just like reloading it twice. Amazing. Anyway, next super chat, we got a 7600X on a B650E-E. 2x16 dual rank. Oh, right. Yeah, that is a thing. Ew. ESOC is set to 1.1. So what you're saying here is that you could be running 6200 instead of this. HCI passed at 65 degrees daily. I keep it under 45. I'm surprised that at 65 you got away with 65 refresh interval. TRP27 might be stable with more voltage and cooling. Yeah, but I don't think there's that much point in doing that. I frozen the BIOS once, and another time it took 2 attempts to train. I kind of wonder if that might not be related to your, like, weirdly low voltages across everything. Though, that probably isn't a problem. Also, if your SoC voltage is that low, you could probably run significantly higher FCLK. And that doesn't require any extra voltage usually. CLDO VDDP is, like, weirdly high for such low memory speed. Then again, it's dual rank, so maybe. Timings look fine, though, like 32, 35, 35, 29, 28, 57, 48, 16, 412, 290. Damn, that's a low refresh cycle. You're really, like, trying to push, like, as much memory performance at, like, low voltages as possible. I don't understand why, but neat, I guess. It's not like RAM pulls a lot of power. I mean, the SoC kind of does, but then like, alternatively for against 6000, like, you could wait, no, you're on a B6. Oh, you're on. Oh, right, you're on dual rank, so you don't, like, 2-to-1 mode is going to be awful. Or, well, awful. It's going to require, like, a whole bunch of extra tuning to work that I don't even know what that would be. So, yeah. Interesting setup. Not really what I would do, because, like, I just feel like not running this at 6200 or at least higher FCLK just kind of doesn't make any sense to me, but because for 6200 you would only really need, like, 1.22-ish on the SoC probably. It's like, yeah, it's going to pull more power, but it's not that much more. Should TWR be 2 times TRTP? As far as I know, that limitation only applies on the memory stick side of things. Like, I think the way WR is encoded on the... Because there's, like, 2 commands. There's, like, write auto precharge and read auto precharge, where instead of the memory controller sending a precharge command, it just says, hey, after you complete this write operation, precharge yourself to the memory. And so the memory has its own register for TWR, and that one has, like, a really wacky encoding limitation. But the CPU's memory controller doesn't care. And so so that's not really a concern. Like, the TWR should be, like, I've seen people talk about that, but as far as I know, that's just, like, an encoding limitation on the memory stick side. It's not, like, the CPU doesn't care. The CPU can send a precharge command whenever the hell it feels like, even when it's not appropriate. Which is why if you set your precharge timings too low, eventually things crash. IDA is not a good benchmark for measuring memory performance. It is simultaneously, like, the read-write tests are both basically just, like, sequential read-write. So they're not affected by timings. They're not affected by latency. And the latency test is, like, it's not a realistic latency test because it tests latency with the memory controller half asleep. When you're measuring the effect of UCLK in 3D Mark, which 3D Mark are you using? Also, you're on a 7800X 3D, so, like, of all the CPUs to care about performance, like memory performance, that one's, like, not one of them. But like 3D Mark TimeSpy, the CPU test cares about memory bandwidth a lot, which is why Ryzen is like really bad at it. 3D Mark 11, the 7800X 3D is like bizarrely good because 3D Mark 11 is like pretty heavy on memory latency. Firestrike just seems to hate Ryzen in general. Vantage doesn't really care about memory at all. So really, like as far as memory tests go, like the one true synthetics, and well, one true synthetic in my opinion is Pi Prime. If Pi Prime doesn't care about something, it actually just doesn't matter. 7800X3Ds mostly have terrible memory controllers? I wouldn't be so sure about that. With 3D Mark, it really depends which 3D Mark you're using. And I'm not talking about the GPU tests, because yeah, the GPU tests don't care, because they're GPU bottlenecked. Physics, which physics test? TimeSpy? Pi Prime VS, well, SuperPi is too inconsistent in my experience, and takes too long. 3D Mark 11. What? Wait, you're on a you're on a 70, if you're on a 7800X3D, I guess it wouldn't change. Like, the 7800X3D for 3D Mark 11 is bizarre. It scores like a 7950X in a benchmark that scales to like 32 threads. Like a 7800X3D at stock like outscores a 14900K. Unless that 14900K is like massively overclocked. It's like ridiculous. I use 5820K? What? What's the go-to? I usually use R20. 5820. Yeah, the thing is, I don't remember how Haswell E behaved with memory performance in 3D Mark. It might not be fast enough. Well, yeah, because Cinebench doesn't care about memory. Like, it doesn't at all. Like, honestly, I get surprised when I see people post benchmarks of Cinebench where they turn Expo on and the score doesn't go down. Because usually when you turn Expo on, your SoC power draw goes up, and that eats into your power limit for Cinebench, and that makes it slower. That's usually, like, that's my experience with Cinebench, is like, if you run it without Expo, it usually scores better than with Expo, because Expo eats into the power draw, like, into the power budget. And even if you like manually tune your timings, you're potentially still going to be behind JDEC just because of the extra SoC power draw. Because Cinebench really doesn't care about memory performance. You'll also notice how Cinebench is like the one benchmark where Arrow Lake isn't a massive flop. You know what else did really well in Cinebench? FX CPUs and first gen Ryzen. It's really funny how all these CPUs that are notorious for terrible memory performance do well in Cinebench. I wonder why that would be. Nah, Cinebench does care about cache, but it's like up to a point. It doesn't need a lot of it. I think like past like 16 megabytes or something, like it's like DDR3 era CPUs is where you'll notice like a cache difference for Cinebench. But past, like I want to say it's like 8 or 10 megabytes and it just doesn't matter anymore. Like Cinebench literally just turns into like who has more gigahertz. Um, Oh, there's a submission. Let's take a look. T-Fall 16 on DDR5. Yeah, that's probably just getting auto-corrected to 20. There's just like a weirdness of Asus boards that they don't stop you from setting T-Fall super low. Oh no. I mean, it's less bad than that 4000 setup we saw earlier, because that was just a disaster. The thing is, I don't know what this is. But this is just XMP, isn't it? What should TRAS be? I generally go and set it as low as possible because I've tried, I've run into a few situations where like setting it too low causes instability. But if it's not causing instability, I've not found anything I've not found anything that's like, oh, it performs worse or something if you set it too low. And especially Intel CPUs just like go faster if you keep lowering it. Like to like weird degrees. Like even when you set it below what the like Intel says like, oh, TRAS has a minimum value of 28, and then you set it to like 24, and some memory benchmarks will actually still keep getting faster. Down to like even like 21 TRAS or something. Or even below. Actually, I think even 18, I think on 11th gen. Yeah, actually, you know what? This might actually be worse than that other setup we saw with the 4000. Oh, I closed it, I think. Oh, wait, no, I have it. No, okay, this is actually worse. Yeah, because that T-Fall is so bad that even though the TRRDS is like, okay, that's actually decent. Where's my calculator? So this is like 39, this is 3200 at 39, right? I'm doing this backwards, aren't I? I don't know why I made it so small. So that's like 24 4 nanoseconds of 4 activate window. This, which is like a disaster from a performance perspective, this is 42 at 4000. Right, so that's 42 divided by 2. Yeah, so this is shorter. So this complete disaster of a memory setup has a shorter 4 activate window than this does. They're both really bad though. So anyway, thing is, I don't know what memory chip this is, so like I don't know if it'll clock any higher. Right, because this could be like some early 8 gigabit Hynix, and then it's just gonna like not go anywhere. No. So I'm not gonna worry about like, hey, is it gonna go high? Well, I mean, I would expect like even early Hynix can do like 3400 a lot of the time, so that's, you know, or even like 3466 would probably be fine. And then it would just need like 19. This could go down to 60. It kind of doesn't matter what this is at like 3466. 4, 6, 16. This could probably do 12. TRFC, yeah, I'm not going to touch TRFC. I don't know where it'll go. This is single rank, right? Yeah, this is single rank, so. Yeah. It's not going to be like a huge speed up, but it'll be a bit faster. Is that an actual Imgur link, what you just posted in that super chat? No, it isn't. Got, Oh, this is Hynix? Oh, in that case... Well, wait, is it like AFR or MFR or CJR or what is it? What? No, 60 should work. 16 TFAW should work. I've used 16 TFAW on every Hynix kit I've ever had. 18 plus 38 is 56. Yeah, I know, but like, I'm lazy. And if by some chance this is Micron, then it's like 60 is safer. What? What was in your super chat? Oh. Wait, did I miss that? Oh, I did. How did that happen? Also, it can't be from like an hour ago, because like... What time is it? Oh, it is like an hour. What? I never saw that. How? Well, whatever, we can do it now. 790 Aorus Master X with 24 gigs. That's 7400. Yep, that basically lines up with my expectations. RCD and RP doesn't like to go down much with voltage. Same for TRFC2, anything below 600. What? Wait, this is 24 gigabit. That seems higher than it should be for TRFC. Like, than it should need to be. It's not going to go much lower because it's 24 gigabit Hynix. Like, it does have a longer TRFC, but I think it should go below 600, but not by much, like mid 500s, I think. 24 gigabit MDI. Not able to stabilize below 1.5 volts with anything higher than 7600. Oh, it's one of these 8000 kits. Well, I'm not too surprised that you're at 7400 then. I mean, TRCD 44 for 7400 seems about right. And then, like, you're on a gigabyte board, so you can't set TRP separately. 10, 4, 665,000, 16, 16, 8, 22. These two 22s, those could go lower. And WRD DG should probably, yeah. Actually, both of your WRDs can probably go a bit lower. And then the rest of the, like, the DRDD timings don't matter. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to really change about this. Because, like, it's an Intel 4 dimmer, so, like I know Gigabyte advertises that these boards do 8,000. I've never managed that. Well, I've booted that, but it's not stable, so, like, not exactly useful. So, yeah. I don't I don't have any more suggestions for this. I booted 8266. Well, yeah, mine also boots 8266. But that's like the thing I hate about the Intel memory controller so much is it boots everything and nothing is stable. Because like you have boards that'll boot 8,000 that like won't be stable until like 7,200, which is just like, how is it getting through memory training then? Anyway, was the DDR5 8200 thing a super chat or what? Like there was a super chat with DDR5 8200, but like, where's the submission for that? TRFC on 24 gigabit does not go below 500 at 7400. Like, it just doesn't. That's like 8i stuff, which is 16 gigabit. Like, I'm actually just going to go and check, like, my most recent... Like, I have a video with 24 gigabit that's, like, relatively recent. That's at 7600, so the timings aren't going to be that different. Yeah, it's 640 at 7600. Actually, yeah, it won't go below 600 at 7400. That's 16 gigabit, what you're thinking of. Um, so yeah. So this isn't like your TRFC isn't going to get better. And if you buy 16 gigabit memory chips, the clocks are probably going to get worse. What is the program? This is MemTweakit. There's links in the description for like a bunch of readout stuff for memory. Anyway, let's see. I'll go find another submission. Oh, I'm back on top chat again. Oh, god damn it. What? Send? No, I don't want their stupid extreme. Like I like those the really overpriced boards. Like I don't like them because it's like I don't like, they're not better at anything. They're really expensive, and now I have to make a video about a motherboard that it's like, I don't even find this interesting. You just sent me a chore. Like, if it doesn't do anything I care about, I don't want it. Anyway, I managed to find a submission from earlier, so let's take a look at it. Oh, and we've got hardware info over here. What is this? Oh, Skylake. Is this on some, like, locked motherboard that doesn't... H110. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I got 13, 13, 13, 31, 250, 1T, 12, 6. Where's TRD? Oh, 4, 4, yeah. T-fall 16. Yeah, so timing's about as tight as they're going to get. Wait, this is IDA? Oh, yeah, it is IDA. Oh, hardware info does this better. I can't do TRCD, only 12. I tried 1.4 max miles. The 31 TRAS, 44 TRC, I was getting errors. Yeah, it might be. Depends on the memory chips. Because there are some memory chips that don't do low TRC. Wait, WTR. Oh, wait. You have 7720, 723. What speed is this at? This is like... You're at 2133. Yeah, those are, like, those could at 2133, those should go down, but I don't know how much. Because, like, I'm used to setting those to, like, 28 and 24, or, like, 22 at, like, 4,000, but that's B-die, so... Well, I might try setting it to, like, 16 then, for the same group. Yeah, I think I had to try, like, I mean, I wouldn't maybe jump to 16, but, like, if the board doesn't take too long to reboot, I would probably go, like, 24, 22, or I just knock it down by, like, 2 ticks at a time until it, like, stops working. Because the tertiaries usually break pretty clean. They don't tend to cause, like, oh, it takes forever to see if there's an error or not. I'm playing Dota 2. Average is fine, but 1% sometimes dips. After going from auto to this time, it, like, got like 10-15% improvement. Yeah, that makes sense. Especially at, like, well, the funny thing is if you're at really low memory speeds, the timings are all effectively longer. So, like, 1 tick at 2133 is a bigger deal than 1 tick at, like, 4,000. And again, usually the auto timings at 4,000 are way worse than they are at 2,000, so... Yeah. Also, is it correct to calculate TRAS as TCL plus TRCD plus 2? I mean, you can, but there's not really any reason to. Like, it's not gonna, like, that's definitely not gonna give you a TRAS value that's too low, but, like, you can just keep lowering it. Like, I've tried several times now to, like, check if there's, like, some kind of performance regression or some issue if you set TRAS, like, stupid low, and I've never seen it. So, like, I don't think that's a thing, especially not on Intel. How do I find out what Hynix ICs my RAM kit has? DDR5 6000 Trident Zenio CL32. Um, I think on G-Skill kits you can just look at the sticker, and it'll have an A for A die, I think. At the end of the... There's like a number, and one of the numbers I think for A die ends in A. I unfortunately don't have a lot of G-Skill DDR5. I have like one kit of G-Skill DDR5. One kit? Yeah, one kit of G-Skill DDR5. RTLs and IOLs? I don't know how to do RTLs and IOLs on Intel. Like, just straight up, I have no idea. So I can't help with those. Especially for something that isn't like Z390 or something. Because, like, I do have a video, like, showing how to, like, turn them down on a Gigabyte Z390. Wait, not Z390, Z490. And yeah, but I don't really, like, I try not to mess with those if at all possible, because they're just incredibly annoying. What, for RTLs? Yeah, you go into the BIOS, you punch in anything, including the stock value, you press save, and it doesn't reboot. That's why I hate RTLs so much. Is like you lower it by 1 and it stops posting, is my experience with RTLs. Anyway, so here's another submission, 7600, 6000, 3035. Another one of these low SoC voltages. Above 1.1 makes what? That's bizarre. That is really, really weird. Though, if the instability is only noticeable in the BIOS, I wonder if it isn't something else. With like 1.2 sock, I don't mean like 2233, like that not working, yeah, like this 2233 being functional, that would be very surprising to me. I think you should do more testing with high FCLK at high SoC voltage, but like just ignore whatever the BIOS is doing. Because that is super weird. But I wouldn't, like, if it only affects the BIOS, I would... This is a 7600. Yeah, I don't know why that would happen. Because the thing is, the BIOS sometimes goes sluggish, like, for no apparent reason in my experience. Like, there's certain GPUs that tend to cause issues with the BIOS. Like the pipe prime speed thing, that makes like, yeah, that at like these kinds of FCLKs, that makes sense. But like 1800 being the limit for 1.2 SoC, that doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like I would assume there's maybe some kind of issue with the iGPU or something when you're sitting in the BIOS at 1.2. So yeah, anyway, so I would, if I were you, I would probably do more testing on that and like mainly focusing on like, does it actually affect like Windows performance and like, is there audio stutter or something like that, rather than the BIOS doing weird things, because BIOSes do weird things all the time. That's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have a high tolerance for BIOSes being just incredibly janky because that's just kind of been my experience since like the DDR3 days, that yeah, sometimes the BIOS just turns into a laggy mess. And it's like, don't really know why, but it does that. And like I've had that on Intel systems, right? So that's not even like an Infinity Fabric thing. That's just like, yep, BIOS sometimes be laggy. I mean, it could be that here, but like I would really want to verify with like Windows or something, because BIOSes just do weird stuff. Like it could be some kind of like power saving bug in the BIOS when you have high SoC voltage or something. Anyway, timings, we've got 6,000, 30, 35, 35, 35, 30, 65, 4, 420, 216, 48, 470, 41, single rank, 65,000. Yeah, all looks good. Yeah, timings look good. The settings make sense considering the issues you run into, but I do wonder if you're just like not misreading the BIOS being sluggish for the BIOS just having some kind of power management bug. That would be my guess for why that happens. Is that there's like a power management bug, and when you like overclock the FCLK, it like messes with some power management thing, and then the BIOS just borks itself. Because that's usually how that kind of thing happens. I think there's also like an issue on some motherboards where like they specifically lag, the BIOS gets like laggy with NVIDIA GPUs. Anyway, so if you have an NVIDIA GPU, that would be another reason to maybe suspect the BIOS just derping out instead of the Infinity Fabric having issues. But it could be the Infinity Fabric. I just find it really hard to believe that it would be like 1800. Anyway, there's a super chat, so I guess let's go take a look at that. And it's 5950X on an X570 Dark. Man, what a rare motherboard. I wish I had one of those. I'm not even sure if it's any good, but like as far as my motherboard collection goes, it's like, yeah, I'd like to have one of those. I have quite a few motherboards in my collection where it's like, yeah, I know it's not good, but I just think it's cool. Anyway, so 3866, 1933, 1933, 1933, 16, 16, 16, 16, 32, 32. So that TRC isn't real because your TRAS is too high. Yeah, if you want a TRC of 32, that TRAS would have to be 16, which won't work. So minimum TRAS is 21. So Your TR, like right now, your TRC is 48, is what it is. And you should be able to check that by like if you set TRC to 48, your performance won't change. The way I tested that was like I took micron sticks, and micron sticks have a really high TRC limit for stability. So what you can do is you can set like really high TRAS and then set TRC like super low and it won't crash. Or you can set TRC really high and set TRAS really low and it won't crash. But if you set both of them really low, it does crash. Because then you violate the TRC limit. So the way TRC and TRAS work on AM5 is basically whichever one is higher takes priority. Because both of them are only relevant in like a very fast sequence of open row to close row, right? Because like TRC limits how quickly you can go from activate, pre-charge, activate, and TRAS limits how quickly you can go from activate to pre-charge. So if you have a really long delay between activate and pre-charge, well, your activate to activate delay is going to be, you know, TRAS plus some extra delay, that delay being TRP. So, yeah, so if like TRAS is really loose and your TRC is really low, then your TRC isn't real because it's literally impossible for your TRC to be, like, it just isn't relevant, right? Because like TRC governs the delay from an activate to another activate in a given bank. But if you have a like pre-charge, like you can't send an activate to the same bank until after the pre-charge command. And if the pre-charge command is after 32 cycles, well, guess what? Your second activate is not going to be in less than 32 cycles because you're waiting 32 cycles just to send a pre-charge. And then you wait another 16 cycles to send for the pre-charge to finish, and then you can send your next activate. So effectively, this is a TRC of 48. But, like, it's not like it matters that much from, like, a performance perspective, but it's just, like, doing this, like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this just doesn't make sense. So, anyway, TRDS 4, TRDL 4, 16, yeah, okay, so TRD's TFall good, WTR is good, TWR good, TRFC tight, SCL's at 2. This is dual rank, and you should be able to run 4466 instead of 5577 for dual rank with AM4. Other than that, okay, no, that's some random garbage from Imgur. So, yeah. So, like, all the other, like, basically my only complaint is your TRC just doesn't make any sense. Assume XMP Expo enabled affects memory training speed. It can, because on some motherboards it'll change some training options when you turn it on. Right, are you the guy with the super chat that didn't have a link in it? Oh yeah, it is the guy who had a super chat with no link in it. Oh boy. You got any more pixels? So 14900K on an Asus Apex Encore. Running 8200, 38, 47, 47, 47, 38, 12, 4, 670, so 24 gigabit memory chips. 12, 12, 16, 8, okay. Then we've got 16, 8, 20, 20, 12, 8, because the odd numbers get rounded up. 64, 46, dual rank timings don't matter because this is single rank. And yep, so timings look good. Wait, how is this sharp and then everything else is like progressively more and more blurry? How did you do this? Is this some like Photoshop thing? Are you just bad at using Photoshop? So when you're like modifying your screenshot to make it look like you have DDR5 8200 working, like you ended up destroying all the pixels? Because like this is sharp, and this just is like, and then this isn't. What else isn't sharp? I mean, even this isn't. So this is Photoshop, and this is real. I'm kidding, but like, because I would hope people wouldn't spend money to send me Photoshop links. Um. Anyway, TRFC per bank 450. So at least like I appreciate the fact that you actually like set your TRFC per bank properly, because I've seen way too many Intel screenshots where TRFC per bank is just the same as TRFC, which is like it's not a big deal, but like TRFC per bank does give you extra performance if you tighten it a bit. So yeah, yep. And voltages we got 1.42 VDD. Well, like memory controller voltage 1.18 VCCSA, 1.35 TX. Where's the memory voltages? Oh, there they are. 1.4. Oh, that's actually like really low for DDR5 8200, which like theoretically that doesn't surprise me. Like in theory, DDR5 8200 really shouldn't require like crazy VDDQ to work. But you never really see screenshots with like low VDDQ from like Intel setups. So there's also a complete lack of stress test in this screenshot, but we're just going to assume that it doesn't crash too often because like, yeah. This is an 8400 kit. Okay. And 100% stable. Cool. All right, what did you test it with? Actually, I don't think I tried high memory speed on my Apex Encore. Did I, or did I? No, I did, and then gave up on it. Why Cringer? Okay. Oh, so cool setup. I don't have any suggestions for this because like for Intel systems, especially past 7600, it's like, well, that nothing ever works for me at these kinds of speeds. So like, what is there to say? Anyway, I'm gonna grab another submission. We have the not a memory benchmark in the background, so that's fun. And then a memory benchmark that's old, so old that I'm not sure it's relevant. Oh boy, and this is some really cursed mishmash of BDI and Micron. Well, that's fun. So we got 16, 19, 13, 25, 57, 4, 4, 16, 3, 7, 12, 532, 4, 4, 14, 6, 4, 6. Well, those timings are dialed. But the man, this memory mix is really something. It's cool to see that this works. Also, like, for Micron, this is really dialed in, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't really have any suggestions for this, because, like, all the timings are good. Like, primaries are basically as low as they're going to get for a Micron setup. I mean, that TRC isn't real, because, like, 13 plus 25 is 58, not 57. But 4, 4, 16, 3, 7, yeah, like, those WTRs are kind of pushing the limits of what BDI can do. SCLs are set low, dual rank timings are set, like everything's set, and then of course we have Cinebench, which is utterly irrelevant to Ryzen like memory performance, and this benchmark that's so old that I'm not sure that it's accurate, but the numbers it's spitting out don't seem completely incorrect. Like the read looks low compared to something like IDA, but it might be because IDA is not, very um not very realistic. Anyway, there's another super chat, so let's take a look at that. 9700X at 6400 with 2200 FCLK. 1.3 SoC. Well, you really got lucky with that one, I guess. This benchmark is single core. Oh, that kind of explains the read speed. Yeah, I know it's not the same test as IDA. Oh, and this is just XMP time. Oh. Oh, yeah, well, these are terrible. Like, this is literally, like, this is terrible. Oh, well, where's my snipping tool? These timings need a correction. Why is it not pasting, you stupid app? There we go. I'm not gonna touch the primaries because we all know like that's just asking for trouble. And like I'm giving myself leeway on TRAS because sometimes you run into kits that won't run it super low. Man, my voice today is just not being cooperative. Damn. This is, yeah, okay, this is 8i. And it's single rank. And I'm gonna go with 50,000 because, like, I don't know what kind of memory cooling you have. And if your memory cooling is garbage, it's still gonna be fine. There. This will be way faster. Like, massively faster. Mostly because of the refresh interval adjustment, but yeah, this is gonna be way faster. There's a chance that if you set these timings up, the stability is going to get worse if the memory controller is not up to the task. So I would probably consider doing this first at 6200 and then going up to 6400 instead of like punching this in at 6400, because if the memory controller is borderline about running 6400, then tightening the timings can make it unstable. Yeah. But like if this works at 6200, I would imagine, and like if the memory controller isn't struggling, then 6400 should work with these timings as well. I'm actually stress testing these timings right now at like 6500, so video coming sometime this week probably of that. But I mean, I say sometime this week, it might be like tomorrow, depending on my ability to like get over myself. Oh boy. So yeah, so I would just do this. Anyway, there's more super chats, so let's take a look at those. And I think I'm gonna close submissions at this point because it's been like almost 2 hours, and I don't really want to stream for more than that. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do, but oh, come on. Also, what time is it? It's like, oh, it's almost 12 a.m. I mean, midnight. I don't actually, it doesn't matter. Why? You do realize Cinebench is not a memory test, right? Why is there so many of these? Well, is this 13? Oh, this is 13th gen. Is there any context? First attempt at tuning timings. Okay. Well, timings look good. 30, 36, 36, 48, 2T, 84, 360, 8000, T-fall 16, 14A, 20, 20, 14A, 60, 48. The thing is, this is a bit like your tertiaries for like 6000, they're kind of loose. Like this could be 12 and 10 instead of 14, 14. And these 20s could be 18. The 60 and the 48 could probably be like 56 and 44. Actually, maybe even lower than that. It might be even like 52 and 40, potentially. Also, my YouTube chat tab just crashed. Amazing. So, anyway, I guess I have to reload that now, don't I? Oh, hell. Oh, that didn't work. And I fixed it. Okay. Anyway, so from a so good job on like tightening the timings for the first time. Like there's nothing like you didn't really do anything that I consider wrong. But from a performance perspective, if you're on Intel, and you're on a Z790 board, it should be relatively trivial to run DDR5 6800. Yeah, especially if you have a 6000 CL30 rated kit, like doing 6800 shouldn't be a problem. It would mainly just be a matter of like what voltage are you at right now? You're at 1.35, yeah, okay. I mean, we'll just leave the voltage at 1.35 because the voltages on Intel get weird. Or they can get weird. Even like on AMD, this is one thing I really appreciate about the AMD memory controller. Just like cranking VDD doesn't have any negative consequences, which it really shouldn't. And then on Intel, it sometimes causes weird issues, which like I don't even understand the physics of how that causes issues because VDD doesn't go anywhere. It literally is internal to the memory chip. Why the hell does the motherboard care if the VDD is 1.4 volts or 1.8? Or, okay, 1.8 does tend to cause issues everywhere, but, like, why does it care if it's 1.4 or 1.65? But anyway, so, what I would do with this is, I mean, if you want to be extra safe, you could go for, like, 6600 instead of 6800, but, like, 6800, in my experience, really doesn't tend to cause too many problems. So, 6800. And so this is 30. Well, you can just run that at 34 instead, because, like, you know, 30 times 2 is 6,000. 34 times 2 is 68. So that actually works out. You won't need to raise the voltage. 36. We're actually just, yeah, I'm actually just going to scale all the primaries. So 36 divide by 60 times 68. So you're going to want like 41. I mean, 40 will probably work. So I would actually probably just go for 40. And TRP, you should be able to run lower TRP. I'd go to 30. Yeah, I like TRP, you shouldn't even have to raise that. TRAS, and we can just leave that at 48. I don't see a reason to, like, it would be faster if you kept lowering it, but like, it's not that important. That's fine. That's fine. This probably will be an issue. Like the 360. So yeah, you're going to want to, like, if that TRFC is minimized right now, you're going to have to bump it to like 408. So that's that. And then the tertiaries, like the funny thing is your tertiaries right now are already basically set for 6,800. So I wouldn't even change those. Because yeah, they are kind of loose for 6,000, but that basically means like you could just leave them alone and it should work at 6,800. I mean, you shouldn't have to even change the voltages or anything. And that'll give you like a decent little performance uplift, because what is that? Like 6,800 is... it's like 13% more memory speed. So, you know, it's not literally going to give you 13% more performance in everything, but it like, for memory bottleneck things, you're going to see some uplift. And in something like a synthetic bandwidth test like IDA, it might actually go up by 13%. Anyway, so yeah, that's my, like, so good job on your, like, first time setting timings. At this point, I would really recommend trying to push the frequency higher, because especially on an Intel memory controller, like this isn't right like Ryzen, where if you're in 1-to-1 mode, you go from like 6,000 to like 6,400 at best most of the time. Anyway, so that's the first attempt. Oh, there's a super chat. I can't do anything other than Expo on a 7700X and 6000 CL32. Do you think it's an issue with the RAM or the CPU? Have you tested motherboard, and have you checked what your minimum SoC voltage is for 3000 UCLK? Because, like, if you can't do anything other than Expo, do you mean, like, you can't tighten the timings, or you can't raise the frequency? Because if you can't raise the frequency, you might have a potato CPU, but if you can't tighten the timings, you suffer from skill issue. Can't tighten timings. Whoa, board. Gigabyte. Oh, master. I diagnose you with skill issue. Yeah, 1.3 SoC. Wait, it used to work. Oh, maybe some BIOS update broke something then. I haven't used my B650E Master in ages. It's been sitting on a desk behind me for like a year now. It's very covered in dust, which is a real problem, because now it's like I don't want to use it, because if I'm going to use it, I need to like clean the dust off, and that's a pain. I have to like take it outside, dust it off, take it back inside, and it's cold outside, and I'm in the UK. It's like raining, man. So like it's been rain. Well, okay, it wasn't raining 2 days ago, but it's been raining for the last 2 days. It's raining right now. Also, it's dark out. It won't go to CL30. What? Okay, that is super weird. That is super weird. I have literally no idea why that would happen. I daily an X670 master and it's been fine. Though I heard from some people that apparently there's some issue with the M.2 slots, but like I don't use M.2 drives very much, so that doesn't really affect me. Anyway, I think the whole like cache latency being screwed, that sounds like a BIOS issue. Anyway, there was like another super chat, so wait, did I miss anything? There was the first attempt, there's the cursed AMD system, and there's an empty super chat. Did that one not have anything along with it? No, that one's just nope, your link didn't go through. Oh, he figured it out. Cool. Okay, so I'll just grab that. There's a reason why the instructions are so convoluted, and it's because YouTube blocks links. Anyway, so we've got a 7900X, so the like worst of the Ryzen CPUs. It's not that bad, but yeah, it's not very good for gaming. It's not really that great for productivity, but I do think at least the price was like pretty like the price on the 7900X is kind of cool. As in it's pretty low if you need like a lot of cores, but you can't quite afford the 16 core. But anyway, so we got 6400, 28 with GDM off. It really doesn't do that much, so I wouldn't bother. Especially for a daily system, it's just like I would just leave it alone. Swapped motherboard from an Asus B650M Plus to the Riptide. Should I retest stability even with same CPU and RAM kit? You should probably retest because especially going from Asus to ASRock, there's sometimes like the voltage, like VDDQ and VDDIO voltage behavior is quite different. Like it can be quite different. Like I don't know if the Riptide specifically and the B650M Plus are going to be a big difference from what like one to the other. But like that is a thing that you could run into is where like because usually Asus boards like their I/O voltages kind of high, and ASRock not necessarily. Um, but usually that translates into the board like straight up not posting, and considering that like you have a screenshot of this, that's probably not that much of an issue. I'd still like maybe I wouldn't necessarily bother with running like every single test under the sun, but like run Carhu or something overnight or test Mem5, right? Just in case. Because yeah, like the like different boards have different topologies, and so they react differently in terms of voltages and stuff. So I wouldn't just assume that oh this worked, especially like if it worked on an Asus board, it's also going to work at the same settings on an ASRock board. The timings are fine; those you don't have to worry about, but the voltages can have like different behaviors. Anyway, so 6400, 28, 38, 38 at 1.5. Okay. 32, 28, 60, 4, 8, 20, 4, 14, 48, 4, 16, 4, 1, 12, 16, 2, and 65,000 refresh interval, single rank, 2133 FC. Okay, so yeah, this all looks good. I would definitely run like a like something to make sure that it isn't like the thing is it would probably be massively broken if it wasn't okay, so it is probably okay. But I would still check, right? Because like that's like the worst thing is if it's like slightly unstable and then you get like weird crashing and stuff and it's just super annoying. And I'm totally not speaking from experience about weird crashing and stuff. Um Anyway, let's take a look at the last super chat, and I think I'm gonna end this here. And that Didn't work. Why? Okay, so 17900X3D. Oh, the other wacky CPU. Oh no, wait, what? Oh no, this is what? Oh no, what? Array preset. From where? What? Tomahawk? Oh, well, okay. There's my snipping tool. Now, this is kind of small, isn't it? We can make it bigger. This is not a very good preset. I mean, I guess this is just like a... Like, I don't even know what kind of preset this is, but it's not good. 1.2... I'm guessing you haven't checked if it'll work at higher at higher UCLKs, and I don't, you know what, yeah, I don't feel like dealing with that, so... I really doubt that this isn't going to work. But, you know, just in case. This might... I'm not... No, this is probably 8i, isn't it? Oh, wait, it's... No, it's Corsair 6000 CL30. This is going to be 8i. Actually, is it fine if I just put a space in there? Because, like, there's some places where they use a dot, some places where they use a comma. Anyway, 4, 1... And this is single rank. That's everything? Yeah, that's everything, isn't it? And that should work. You know what's crazy is, like, I might sound super tired, but, like, I woke up, like, 3 hours ago. Okay, no, not 3 hours ago, like 4 hours ago. Wait, no, like 5. So, like, it doesn't even make sense that I'm so freaking, like, sleepy. Yeah, submissions are closed, because it's been, like, 2 hours and 13 minutes. Well, no, that's like for me it depends. Like sometimes I wake up and like full of energy and sometimes I wake up and not full of energy. I think it depends if I wake up in a room that's cold or in a room that's warm. And it's like and the weather right now is like it's just like it's not so cold that I want to turn on the heating cuz it's going to turn the flat into an oven cuz the heating controls are terrible. But it's also not like but it's not warm enough that it's like, oh, I wake up and and like, you know, it's like want to jump out of bed because you jump out of bed and then go like, oh shit, it's cold. I want to go back to bed. Um, Man, I'm kind of wondering if that 6500 CL28 setup I'm testing, if I should maybe tighten it. Because I literally just like right now what I'm stress testing is literally the first timings I came up with. And it's like, it passed Y Cruncher, it's now at like 17 hours of Carhu, and I'm like, man, this is too low effort. It, it should, I feel bad making a video about a setup that I literally spent I think I spent more time waiting for the motherboard to post than actually setting settings. So it's like, and like some of the voltages, like I'm running a bunch of extra VDD as usual, because like I'm too lazy to minimize that, and it's like, but if I go out of my way to minimize it, then I need to run Carhu for another 16 hours again, and it's just like, I don't wanna. Also, I'm kind of more interested in trying like CL26, because right now it's at 28, and then it's like, well, if this works at 1.6 volts, then maybe 26 will work at like 1.72. It's not really practical, but it would look kind of cool. 6500 1-to-1? Yeah, it's actually 6528. Because the thing is, like, my 9950X, like, barely works at 6600. Right? So, but it does 6400 at, like, 1.2-ish volts SOC. So with 1.28 SOC and 102 BCLK, it just works, unsurprisingly. In fact, I think it would probably, if I was at 1.3 SOC, I think it would break at like 6560 is my guess, is where like the hard breaking point would be. And maybe if I flatline the LLC, it might even work at like 6570 or something. But I really don't see much point in like pushing it that far. Because even this 6528 setup I think is kind of dumb. Like for a daily system, I don't think I'd actually bother with it because like it's a 2% BCLK overclock, and it's like, oh yeah, it makes your CPU like 2% faster, and it probably doesn't cause any issues with Gen 4 SSDs. Like I've seen a few people dailying BCLK overclocks on AM5 at this point, so not very big ones, mind you, but like, you know, smaller ones like 1 to 2%, so it's probably fine. But I wonder if Gen 5 drives are like way more sensitive to that kind of thing. Because it would make sense to me that they would be, right? Like Gen 4 has more tolerance for the BCLK getting messed up than Gen 5 does. Yeah, also the CPU is now at like 5.8 gigahertz boost, which I don't have the like plus 200 enhancement on top of that. So if I did, it would be at over like 6 for single core boost and probably not stable. What? 1 point? Nah, it's RGB G-Skill memory sticks. There's a fan over them. It's not even going that fast. And the sticks are maxing out at like 40, 48 degrees Celsius. Like, it's not hard. Like, the thing is, RAM, even at high voltage, like, isn't really, like, it just doesn't run that hot. I think the RGB LEDs have more of an effect on your memory temperatures than your freaking memory voltage does. Ring cache stability on Intel. Y Cruncher does a good job of that. Linpack also, but Linpack like is literally unrunnable on some motherboards. So and it's also insanely hot. 5080, I don't know. Oh, 5080 and a Gen 5 M.2 at the same time. You need 20 lanes because 16 for the GPU and 4 for the M.2. Which actually on AM5, you get that on like a bunch of motherboards that you actually have like 2 Gen 5 M.2 slots that are connected to the CPU that don't affect your PCIe lanes. Though it kind of depends on the motherboard, because with X870, and I think this is really stupid, you have a bunch of the Gen 5 lanes, they go to the USB 40 gigabit ports. And my tab just crashed. Anyway, I think I'll end the stream here. Hopefully, you found it I don't know, useful, interesting. I still don't understand how these streams are so popular and why people even pay for them. But, except for X870 Tomahawk. Oh, yeah, so that's why I'm thinking of that. Yeah, because on B650 and X670, it was pretty typical that you'd have, like, 2 Gen 5 slots just dedicated from the CPU, because the CPU has, what is it? 24 PCIe lane. Like, the CPU has 24 Gen 5 lanes for whatever. And then with X870, they were like, oh, yeah, 4 of those? Yeah, those go to the USB controller. And it was just like, but why? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of M.2 drives, but like, and I do like USB ports, but I like quantity, not speed. So, but you still get like as far as I know, every X870 still has one dedicated Gen 5 M.2 slot that doesn't steal any PCIe lanes from anywhere. And I think Z890 has the same thing now. Z790 couldn't, because Z790 literally didn't have enough PCIe Gen 5 lanes in total to do that. You only had X16 of them. Anyway, I'll hit the stop streaming button now. Because, yeah, I'm done. So, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description that should work, that you may want to check out. I'm toying with the idea of doing a live stream where I actually test games. Not games that anybody cares about, because it's going to be like my Steam library getting tested, which, if you've ever seen my gaming streams, you like one of the more common questions is, Buildzoid, how do you find these games? And the answer is like, I don't know, I just do. Yeah, but I don't have Factorio, right? That's the magic of my my Steam game library. But I'm interested in testing like if Age of Mythology cares at all about memory speed, because like I've been playing it on the 7800, like on my daily system with the 7800 X3D, and there's like parts of the game where it has like I have like, you can't run it uncapped, so I just have it on the 144 FPS cap because that's my monitor. But there's like parts of the game where it just drops to like 71 FPS. It might be because I had like 300 something supply of units at that point, but like still, I'm kind of wondering. And there's like a built-in benchmark that seems actually decent as far as like testing the game performance goes. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering like does it scale with core speed? Does it scale with memory? And I think the 3080 Ti should be more than enough to run it, because that's the other issue is like I don't have a 4090, so like, you know. Age of Mythology is going to be single core, yeah. But I'm wondering, like, is it like single core frequency, or is it single core memory memory performance as well? And then there's like I also want to test Mother Gunship on the 9950X. Because I'm just wondering like how that'll behave. What else do I have? The issue is like a lot of the games I play don't have like convenient benchmark scenes. Like I'd like to test Echo Point Nova, because there's parts in that game where it just like really doesn't run well. But that's like I'm like testing that game is going to be awkward as hell, I think. Though I think one way you could work around that is to just play like play a lot of it, right? Like if you just gather like um instead of trying to do a really short benchmark, just do like a really long one so that you just have a ton of data and it just kind of averages out. As long as you're like playing at roughly the same intensity the entire time, though playing Echo Point Nova through a capture card is going to be an experience and not a good one. Oh, I guess I also have Teardown, which could be interesting. That yeah, but that's another one where it's like I don't know how you would even test that, even though it would be kind of interesting. Um, anyway, um, what's going to be rough? Teardown? Yeah, I'm not like the issue with that one is like I'm not sure how you would make it repeatable. I guess you could load the same map and then like place explosives in the same places and then like measure it. Oh, I also have BeamNG. Could test that. That's probably one of the more popular games I play. Um, and I guess Need for Speed Unbound could be, well, no, that one's annoying to test. Yeah, no. Also, it doesn't run badly enough. Also, like, the issue with that game specifically is it's, like, the particle effects that brutalize the CPU. And Heat does the same thing. Like, if you lower Heat's resolution, it runs faster because the particle effects get less intense. So that's like the funny thing with the like, oh, you should test games at like super low res to measure CPU bottlenecks. It like doesn't always work because some games will dynamically scale the details based on what resolution you're at. So if you're at very low res, it actually like doesn't render as much stuff as it does at high res, and so at high res it's actually more CPU intensive than at low res. I don't remember Dirt Rally running particularly badly though. Like the thing is, I want to test games where I know there's like, oh yeah, there's like moments in this game where the frame rate just dies. And like I want to see if there's ways to fix that. Not like, oh, like I really don't care about the like, oh, this game now runs at like 5 billion FPS, but they're like because that's the thing is like a lot of the CPU benchmarks you see are like, oh yeah, these CPUs are like 500 FPS versus 600 FPS because it's like AAA games which aren't actually that CPU heavy. And then you have like the stuff I play where it's like, yeah, it runs at 70 FPS in certain parts of the game, and that's kind of annoying. I'd like to see if we can fix that. Because I don't care if it does 200 or 300 FPS, because I can't tell the difference between those two. But I do notice when my game goes from 100 and something-ish to 70. You can make Dirt Rally CPU bound. How? It's like 1 car per stage. Unless you're playing the Rallycross. Well, there's a difference between unavoidable stutters and the developers decided to spawn too much stuff at the same time. Right? Like there's certain games where like they just hitch randomly for no reason. But what I'm talking about is like there are scenarios in certain games I play where it's like I know for a fact that this specifically runs like garbage and it runs like garbage on everything because of just what is going on screen. It's not a stutter. The frame rate just dies until you finish that scenario. Right? Like Mother Gunship, if you have a gun with too many projectiles, it just kills the frame rate. Always. Like if there's too many projectiles in the arena, the frame rate just dies because there's too many projectiles in the arena. It's not rocket science. Like this isn't like, oh, there's like some asset loading. No, there's just too much stuff. How do we make it run faster? Right? Like for me, random FPS drops is like there's nothing really happening, and then there's like an asset getting loaded in, and so it just dies for like the game just freezes for a bit. The asset loads in, and then it's fine. But then you have games where it's like, yeah, there's like 500 bullets on screen at the same time, and so the game doesn't run anymore. Stalker is a good CPU test. Yeah, but I don't have that. And I don't play it, so I don't know how I would even test that. So like that's the thing is like I want to test some games, but there's going to be games I actually play. So and I might do a stream of that. I mean, there's certain arenas in Turbo Overkill that also just like up and die for the same reason that Mother Gunship just up and dies. Except I think Turbo Overkill. No, but that's an indie game, so it probably runs on one core, just like Mother Gunship does. But, oh well. Yeah, but Baldur's Gate 3 is another game that I don't play. Because I like FPS games, and I like racing games. And apparently I also like RTSs, because I've sunk so many hours into Age of Mythology while, like, running memory tests. It was really surprising to me, because, like, I don't, like, I completely gave up on, like, playing StarCraft 2, because it's just too hard. And so I thought, like, oh, like, I'm not gonna, like, Age of Mythology, I'm not gonna, like, I'll, like, replay the campaign or whatever, and now I'm replaying the campaign, but on Titan difficulty. It's like, well, apparently I like RTS games, just not StarCraft 2. Because I also tried Beyond All Reason, and that was the same issue, where it's just like, nope, this is just, like, I can't. I can't, yeah. I guess it's also maybe just mainly that I play single player Age of Mythology. What kind of racing games? Need for Speed games when they didn't suck like they do now. Man, like I recently replayed like Need for Speed Carbon. It's just better than the new Need for Speeds. The map is just better. There's better car customization. The cars are more fun to drive. It's just a better game, except they made it freaking like what, 18 years ago. Stalker is a very good game. You're not the first person to tell me to play Stalker, but as far as I know, it's like a slow survival FPS thing that is like, I'm not interested. It's an RPG. Yeah, like I don't usually play RPGs. Gotta try Transistor by I've seen that, but like it just like third person games are already like a hard sell for me. Cuz like I play my racing games in first person generally speaking. Not many games are like Stalker. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to play that. Did you try Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition? I'm not sure if that's gonna be the same thing. Like, I quite like the god powers in Age of Mythology. Isometric top-down. Yeah, but it's basically like it's basically a third-person action game, isn't it? Like, for me, I mean, I guess that's not as bad as actual, like, over-the-shoulder third-person. Because that, like, I hate the, like, typical camera-behind-character third-person perspective. Because it's so hard for me to keep track of, like, dodge the thing with the thing on the screen. Like, it's just... Like, it just doesn't work. Right? Because, like, like, Mother Gunship is basically a first-person bullet hell game. That's great. And then I'm like, and then like Returnal is like, oh, it's a bullet hell game in 3D in third person, and it's like, oh, this is terrible. Like, I can't stand this. Like, in theory, it should overlap pretty similarly in terms of gameplay with Mother Gunship. In practice, I don't like third person so much that it just doesn't work. There are billions. Oh, I've heard of that ages. That's been like on, kind of been on my radar, but I'm not sure if I want to pick that up. You tried in? I've never tried any of the Tomb Raider games. Any of them. Yeah. Flat Out. Oh man, I played so much Flat Out 2 single player. Games are so epic. I see the thing is when it comes to like cuz like I bounced right off of Elden Ring. Like it just doesn't interest me. And then like Doom Eternal as far as I'm concerned is just a straight downgrade from 2016. Um Tomb Raider. Yeah, but I don't even like like isn't like what is it even about? Need for Speed Underground? No, I've never tried either of those. Yeah, I finished Doom Eternal in spite of how bad it is. Like I paid entirely too much money not to finish that game. There was like one moment where it was like, "Oh, this doesn't completely suck," and then it got way worse. Armageddon, Road Rash, Midtown Madness. I've heard of those and never played them. Tomb Raider is a platformer adventure game. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like super exciting to me. Because like I like my first, like I like my FPS like combat, right? Like I love Turbo Overkill. Um, yeah, and I don't like dash mechanics in FPS games. Like I understand the purpose that they serve from like a game design perspective. I do not like how they feel. Because when it comes to FPS games, I really like having like a sense of momentum to the character, and dash mechanics destroy that, right? Because your character basically just teleports from one point to another. There's no momentum. There's no like you suddenly accelerate to a very high rate of speed, and then you just stop. Which, like, I get why, and I don't like it. And like Turbo Overkill, I like the honestly like has a dash mechanic and like I played with it a lot because there's like an upgrade that gives you invincibility frames when dashing. So, you know, it's like pretty freaking useful, but I do feel like I would rather have an alternative to a dash, like have something other than a dash for the like dodging mechanic. Um yeah, but the thing is I'm not like um Dash doesn't need Dash needs no deceleration. Yeah, but then it's not a dash, then it's like a launch. Right? Like if you launch yourself with a rocket launcher in like Quake or something, you just go in whatever direction you launched yourself in until you slow down somehow. But with dashes, they just like lurch you in a certain direction, and I'm really not a fan of that. Because like I feel like the whole issue with the dash mechanics is that it's basically like, oh, we need a way for the player to dodge, but we can't have the player zipping around the map at like 300 kilometers per hour because it just like that's not what we want. So we have this thing that teleports you from point to point at 300 kilometers per hour, but you can't, you can't carry that speed. And it's like, yeah, but I like the speed. I want to go fast. That's why it's racing games and FPS games, and I don't like FPS games that don't let you go stupid fast. Um, Talos Principle 2, haven't even really heard of that. Like that's why I love Echo Point Nova. Like Echo Point Nova is probably my game of the year. Cuz you have a hoverboard and you can just go stupid fast. And you can go wall riding and there's no dash. You just have like this hoverboard and it's just fast and it just carries momentum and it's great. Um, it's also really floaty and the end result, like the combat, especially if you get like certain, if you build your character a certain way, the combat gets kind of dumb, but it's so satisfying. Like that's like the like it, yeah. So it's like on one hand, I can see like I can clearly see the issue that it creates when you have a character that can go that fast. Because like my own game has the same problem of like the character can just go stupid fast, and that creates a whole bunch of like um issues of like how do you you know like how do you shoot the player when they're going that fast with AI that isn't just like hit scan aim bots. Um, So I can understand why most FPS games avoid giving you the ability to just zip around the map at ludicrous speed, but that doesn't change the fact that I love zipping around the map at ludicrous speeds. So I love Echo Point Nova because that's exactly what it is. Um, you just surf around the map, like shooting everything that moves, and you know, like it's great. It's not particularly complicated. Um, I wouldn't even say it's really that hard, but it is really fun. Um, is what free? You play Talos Principle? No. Oh, Antichamber's awesome. I also, if you liked Antichamber, you should also check out what is it? Manifold Garden? Yeah, Manifold Garden is cool. Uh, oh, no, Echo Point Nova is not free. It's single player, it has co-op. It's kind of short. It's really short if you get good at it. Like I've been able to finish Echo Point Nova like the like all the core story missions in like hour 30? No, hour 45. But the first playthrough, like that's the thing that annoys me so much with like the really good, like the fun single player indie FPS games is they're too short. Like they always just like they're too short. Like my first playthrough of Echo Point Nova was like 5 hours to finish the story, 13 hours to finish all of the content. Um, I'm actually just gonna pull, yeah, I'm just gonna pull up Steam. I'm assuming if you're not logged into Steam, it doesn't have the like the adult section visible, right? I don't, I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, that actually wouldn't make sense if it just didn't have any restrictions on what's on the front page, but yeah. So Echo Point Nova. This is from the developer of Severed Steel. This game is awesome. It's so fast. And like the movement in this is amazing. The combat I think is a bit simple, a bit easy. Then again, I saw somebody else play it like on stream and they were getting like absolutely wrecked in like the tutorial mission. So, I don't know. Maybe I play too many games like this, but this is like this game is just like really really cool. There's like a grappling hook and yeah, you have the hoverboard. Um It's also open world, which is like really unique for an indie like movement shooter like this. Right? Because all the other ones are like level based, and this one is like it's kind of level based because you have the world has like these like island things that are basically self-contained levels. Um, but yeah, it's really cool. I wish it had like a proper like if it had a server browser with like a PvP mode, I think that would be sick. Um, it doesn't. There is co-op, and in co-op you can equip a perk that turns on PvP, so you can like shoot your friends. But um, There's no like PvP game mode built around the movement because like I don't think deathmatch with this kind of movement is particularly interesting. I think like a capture the flag mode would be amazing. Also, the boss fights in this have like are really cool. Like the idea of how the boss fights are supposed to work is really cool. The implementation is really jack. But you get used to it, and then it's just like it's back to just being kind of cool. Um, so yeah, I love this game. Like this game is just amazing. Like I've played through it like 4 times, I think. Yeah, because there was my initial playthrough. Then I did one where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like try to pick up everything. And then I got kind of far. Like I wanted to do like 100%, but in one go, because my first one was like I did like the core story missions, and then I needed to clean up the rest of the map. So I wanted to do one where I like 100%ed the map as I was going, but I got to a certain point where I realized, wait a minute, I can just skip to the end of the game now. So I tried that, and then I'm like, how much could I optimize the skip to the end of the game now? And yeah, so that's a cool game. Oh, I also played Lorne's Lore recently. That's another one that was fun. That one's like not an FPS game. That's just like movement. This game made me incredibly sweaty. Like this game, like it's like, and I do have an IRL fear of like heights with no fences. I say specifically no fences because if there's a fence, I'm fine. If there's no fence, I am not fine. Like with like high ledges. Yeah, so playing this game, my hands got incredibly sweaty because it's a whole lot of like traversing tall well, okay, we don't this kind of thing. And it's just like like first person platformer. And I really enjoyed this. It's not particularly long. It's also like the learning curve for this game is horrendous. Some of the mechanics are incredibly clunky. And like yeah. And some of the like there's not really puzzles, but there's like certain platforming sections where it's really not clear where you're supposed to go. So like if there wasn't a YouTube walkthrough that like I could just refer to anytime I got hard stuck, I would enjoy this a lot less. Because like there are like parts of this game where it's just not at all clear. Like there is, because the thing is like it gives you the vibe that it might be like, oh, you can go anywhere, but it really isn't. There's basically one way to solve until you go New Game Plus. But if you're not in New Game Plus, which you don't get until you finish the game, there's like one way to solve most of the platforming puzzles. So if you can't see it, it freaking sucks when you can't see the solution for one of the, like for some of the platforming challenges. At the same time, there were moments where like I found like a really novel, like there was one very specific situation that I found. I'm not sure if it was the intended solution, but I found a solution and I felt very good about myself. And then went back to feeling miserable because then after that it got back to just absolutely some of the most brutal platforming challenges that a game could possibly throw at you. Like the developer has a lot of jumps which are designed so that you like just barely make them if you use the movement mechanics almost perfectly. So there's like no margin for like there's like a like there's a mechanic where it's like, oh, if you, it gives you more distance based on how like what angle you aim it up at, right? So if you don't aim it up exactly like 45 degrees, I think is the optimum distance. So if you don't aim it exactly 45 degrees, there's a ledge that you're supposed to jump onto that you will just not make unless you aim and you're not aiming at the ledge, you're aiming up, right? Because it's first person, so you're like jumping up. And then the momentum that you get up and forward is supposed to carry you towards the ledge, which is below you. And you can't see it when you do that. So it's just, ugh. But cool game. Really cool. absolutely just, yeah. Also, I think this got patched, but when I first played through this, the last mission for me bugged out. And so I had to restart it, which was really annoying. And the really annoying thing is because the game is so tight on the timings, it was really hard for me to tell if it bugged out or if I was just too slow, right? Um, because like I was getting to like a checkpoint that I couldn't pass because a thing spawned that wasn't supposed to be spawned yet. So it was like, so I wasn't too slow. It just bugged out the progression of the level. So, oh well. But yeah, so that's a really cool game. Um, the game was just released when I streamed it. Yeah, released like a day or two before I streamed it. Because like I finished the game off stream and then I decided to stream it. Um, and this has been on my radar for like forever. Like I remember seeing I think Dave Oshry from New Blood like retweeted some footage from this game from like really early on in this game's development, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. So yeah, it's been on my wish list for like a year or something. I have a bunch of indie games that like that where it's just like waiting. It comes out, I finish it in 5 hours, and then and it's like I'm sad again. Um, I didn't finish this in 5 hours. This was like 10 or something. Like this game is hard, so hard. Um, But I hope there's more stuff from this developer. Like if they just make a Lorne's Lure 2, which doesn't expand on the mechanics in any way, it's just more levels, I think that would be cool. Though I will say, towards the end, the level design really suffers. Like the second to last level, which is really sad, because second to last level I think was actually really fun to play. It just looked like garbage. Like it did not look cool. Like a lot of the earlier levels look really cool. Second to last level looks really bland, but plays way better than some of the earlier levels. Because a lot of the earlier levels have a lot of that, like, oh man, there's this thing that just, there's this jump that is just borderline impossible. Um, and then you get to that final level where you still get that a lot, but I think what you sort of learn the mechanics. Also, there's like some of your mechanics get like upgraded as you're going through the game. So in that last level, it's like it plays really nice. It just looks like garbage. Whereas earlier levels look really cool, don't play quite as nice, in my opinion. Um, so yeah. Also, the last level had like a one respawn point, which was just incredibly stupid. There's a few places in that. I think that might actually be one of the issues with the later levels. Is like the early levels have like really generous respawns. The later levels have like they're not that much less generous, but they're a bit less generous. And in certain cases, that less generous respawn is so annoying. Like there was one part where I was like, there was like a section of like jumps that I had to get through, climbing up what was basically a vertical wall with just like ledges cut into it. And the thing is, it would, if I fell off that, it would respawn me around the corner, which is like, it's not like a big deal. But in earlier sections of the game, if you fell off a pipe, it would respawn you on the pipe that you fell off of. So you could try your jump to the next pipe immediately. It wasn't like, oh, I need to get back to that place where I fell off from. It was like, no, like the jump I just failed, I can just try it again and again and again and again. Whereas, yeah, second to last level, like it's like, oh, I fell off after like 6 jumps, so now I need to walk around this stupid freaking respawn area, walk back to the wall, get through like the easy part of it, then die on the hard part, do the easy part again. And so, but still, cool game. If there was more of it, I would play more of it. Because yeah, that was fun. Technically, you can like there is some exploration. Like I recently saw a video of somebody found like there's like a hidden thing on one of the early levels, which I never found. Um, but the exploration in this game is like, I don't know. I didn't feel like exploring the environment. It didn't feel very exploration friendly. Um, So yeah, so maybe there's more hidden secrets throughout the levels, but I am not gonna bother looking for them. Because yeah. Um that just like I like the challenge of like getting through like the platforming and then exploring the environment. Don't really care that much. Anyway, the stream has now gone completely off the rails. So I guess I'll just hit the stop button. And go play Age of Mythology probably while my memory stress tests run. Because yeah, I'm gonna be running Prime 95 large FFTs next. Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for watching. And Severed Steel. Oh yeah, Severed Steel is amazing. Highly recommended. Severed Steel and Echo Point Nova are very different. Or they're not very different, but like Severed Steel is like it's very like Severed Steel has generally pretty tight levels. Like they're pretty cramped, and it's a lot of like really like it still has that flow, but it's more it's less flying around the level like Echo Point Nova is a chill movement shooter. Like I find that game like relaxing, like very relaxing, you know? You're just flying around the map with your rocket launcher, shooting mechs, shooting like flying gunships, shooting mercenaries, that kind of thing. Whereas Severed Steel is like you're in a room, or not even, yeah, you get basically like a lot of levels that are like a bunch of cramped rooms with like 5 or 6 enemies per room, right? And you need to bust in and kill everyone. Or some of the levels are like get from the entrance to get to the exit, so you can technically do them without killing everybody, but you're still gonna like there's gonna be like 30 dudes on like a pretty small level, so like it's really like packed in. Whereas Echo Point Nova is a lot more open. They're both really cool though, like really really cool games. I love the sound design of Severed Steel. Like the guns in Severed Steel just sound amazing. And also if you're playing like if you just play some of the like Rogue Steel or something, some of the perks in that game are hilarious. Like there's a perk that if you throw your gun, it explodes. So instead of worrying about like shooting people with the gun, you just throw the like you throw the gun, pick up the gun from the guy who just exploded, throw that at his buddies, right? And you just which makes the game kind of brain dead, but also it's just kind of fun as like something different to do. So yeah, I think like both Echo Point Nova and Severed Steel are really really cool. And I've played more Severed Steel than I played Echo Point Nova because Echo Point like Severed Steel has a lot of content at this point because it kept getting updates after it got released. Like it released with just like a campaign, if you will. And there's like there's extra levels now in Severed Steel. There's like a firefight mode. There's a Rogue Steel mode. Whereas Echo Point Nova is still a bit like there's just less stuff in Echo Point Nova right now. As far as I know, the developer plans to keep adding stuff to Echo Point Nova, in which case which I really hope is the case because like that game is awesome, and if there was more of it, I would be very happy. But yeah. Anyway, I really do need to press that stop button or this stream will never end. So, yeah. Thanks for watching and goodbye, I guess.